Speaking of Vic and Ches do things together, let's talk about Broncos camp yesterday.
Yep. I sidled up next to Ches, and I said, learn me some football, because he really obviously knows the game more than most.
Football?
So I needed to know alignment definitions. I needed to know what was going on the interior. And after about 30 seconds of listening to him spit out information, I was like, okay, too much information. This is like statistics class at Notre Dame again, where I had to drop out after the first week. But here's what I saw. Here's what my eyes saw.
Okay,
Chaz, help
tell
me
me
out.
what your eyes saw.
My eyes saw the Rams defense get the best of the Broncos starting offense. I saw the Broncos starting offense struggle yesterday.
An Aaron Donald list.
Exactly.
Rams defense, right?
That's what I saw. That's what the eyes saw.
And I've got to agree. I mean, it wasn't just, look, we said this multiple times, everybody up there. That was your own personal preseason game yesterday. And today's going to be very similar. I hope they're in full pads again, because I don't think a lot of the starters are going to play on Saturday, and they shouldn't. It's the last preseason game. But today's even more important than Saturday, because you know the Rams are going to sit all of their starters. That's what McVay does. He's telling everybody these 2 days are super important. I was talking to Tremaine Archam yesterday, who's a big offensive lineman that plays for the Rams that I've been working with forever. He almost went to CU back in the day, but then went to Clemson and won 3 national titles or whatever. So that was a good move.
Yeah.
He was talking yesterday when he came out. We were just yucking it up, and he was like, it's, Coach McVay is trying to take care of everybody, but the practices have become so paramount. Like last year, we kind of floated through practice the way Hackett did, right? In T-shirts. And this year, practice is a war zone, but we're taking the games off. So they're kind of trying to find that medium.
It's funny. You could see the level of intensity between the two. I could tell that.
But neither
the
of you
Rams
would,
were turned up,
Yes.
bro. The Broncos were like, let's see how they come out and play, and they got hit in the mouth.
but neither of you would say that this training camp by Peyton has been soft, right? Like
Oh,
you're not,
no.
We're not concerned about the level of physicality or intensity that Sean Payton has had at his training camp, right?
Okay, I am extremely concerned about the physicality, but I'm glad we're doing it, because we are being out physical, if that makes sense.
Right.
We have to do it in order to get the guys calloused and tough like we want them to. But my biggest thing is our premier free agents that we've brought in the last 2 years in the game on Saturday struggled immensely.
I want to get to that. We'll talk about that.
Trust me, we're going to. And then on yesterday, bro, wow. I intentionally isolate those guys because I want to see. They weren't here last year for the monstrosity. Gregory was, but he only played half the games. Even Singleton in the game Saturday was struggling a little bit. What is going on with these high-priced free agent guys that we brought in? Hopefully McGlinchey can pick it up today. Yesterday, I was glad to see him back on the field, but those guys weren't here.
Yeah.
They're supposed to come in and help build this culture and bring physicality and show everybody how to do it right. And Zach Allen's out there getting beat like Cherokee drum, bro. There might be 2 of them just over and over and over again.
Easy on the old equipment here. You knocked out one of my
turn your
headphones.
camera on, Ches, so people can see you're all dressed up for this. So
Yeah,
Ches
we'll get to
showed
that.
up
He's
dressed up.
He did.
Here, I'll show you. I'll do it.
Well, but
I got these sausage fingers.
Vic trying to work technology for Ches is not something I had on my bingo card today.
Hey, thank you. Stop talking about bingo cards. I get excited.
Dude, I know my tech. What are you talking about? I have a Macintosh laptop.
The only thing I did was
Yeah,
get
that
sued
means
for
you know
downloading
tech
music.
for sure.
So I'm not saying I know, but I know.
To get back to it, so Vic, in your eyes, is there any concern that this Rams team, so Andrew Mason put out a tweet, Rams are still a 9 to 10 win team if they keep Stafford, Kupp, and Donald healthy.
I agree with that.
So, this is a team that if it's a 10-win team, you're talking about a playoff team matchup, and you got beat by them yesterday, quote unquote, in this practice. Are you worried about the intensity level at all that they brought versus what we brought?
I had a long talk with a Rams official in management at the LA Rams, and he was telling me how this younger group, because there aren't as many veterans on this team as they have in years past, Super Bowl era, that they're chippy because they know they have to be, because they're trying to find roster spots, and you're going to promote and get a lot of that because of it. So obviously the Broncos have a few more veterans than the Rams, and that's just the way this works out. But in this camp, so far, at that practice yesterday, the Rams seem to be the aggressor. I don't know what we'll see today. Day 2 is usually a little different than day 1. Day 2, perhaps players keep their Okay, you want to do that? I got you. I'll get right back at you. We'll see what happens in day 2. But I'll tell you what, Matt, watching practice yesterday, for me, was more revealing and more entertaining than any preseason game I've seen so far.
Amen to that. And I agree wholeheartedly. We were standing there talking about how important it was. Like these, and even Coach Payton after practice, these practices are unbelievably important. Every time I've ever done it, the practices are more important than the game. And then, he came out and he said something kind of revealing that I don't know if anybody else heard it, but when he was talking about the Rams and how they, their veterans showed up in comparison to the Broncos veterans, and everyone's like, well, are you disappointed about the day? The media guys over there. And he said, I'm not really disappointed about today. I'm going to be extremely disappointed tomorrow afternoon if we don't fix what happened today.
Yes.
So they have got to go out, and this is the same thing that happened in preseason game 1, preseason game 2. Yesterday, and all the offensive lines specifically, they were getting beat with the same stuff that beat them the other day. So they've got to, he's openly saying, we are evaluating this, and it's something that has to get fixed. And now that he's said it to the media, he's one of these savvy-ass old coaches that, can just put one of those, motivational tactics into the media, the story that day. So I hope the guys heard it, because I definitely did. Well, and that was a shot.
Cut 3, it's a long cut, but listen along when he was asked about the joint practices and see what you can gather from what Ches just said.
Our early years in New Orleans, we had a number with Houston because we were close. There's some cities, logistically, when you're out west, there's a handful of teams you typically get used to playing in the preseason that limit your travel. Houston was that for us in New Orleans because that was an easy trip. And then a number of years with New England. I'd say we probably had 5, both at home and in New England. And then eventually we came to LA quite a bit to get out of the heat. So when we did it with the Chargers, it was always us coming to them. They did it last week just to get a break from the humidity. What do we like? Well, you get different looks. So you get used to your own team, your own defense, your own offense, and you get a whole new set of formations, defensive fronts. Obviously, you get a whole new set of players that do things differently. So, in a game, you're going to get things that maybe you haven't covered. And today I'm sure we're going to look at plays, both sides of the ball, that we haven't seen because either our offense doesn't run them or our defense doesn't play it. But I think that variety is important. And then it also allows you, these are huge reps for so many players that are competing for roster spots. So these practice snaps are invaluable. This would be like a preseason game, really, when you look at the snaps.
He said it there. This is a preseason game for most of the players.
And this is why they've gotten rid of the 4th one, right? Because most teams have these joint practices that they end up putting more time and effort into than preseason games themselves.
We did joint practices with 4 preseason games.
I know, but what I'm saying is there was already no need for the 4th one, and then you can kind of replace it with what you do this week.
Look, I think they should have kept the fourth preseason game.
Really?
You do?
Absolutely.
Why?
They're practicing anyway. It's for the young guys, bro. This is a developmental league that they don't have a developmental league for. So if being a bottom of the roster guy for 6 years and having to change positions without the 4th preseason game and being able to start that game and play 80 snaps and put it all on tape against other guys that are trying to stay in the league, that I wouldn't have got my pension. So the NFL has a developmental problem. There's so many cats that can play that just don't get the opportunity to because they're not practicing in practice at half the places. So how in the hell, like last year, put yourself in, let's say, Quinn Bailey's shoes last year. If he's a practice squad player before Hackett got there, and you get there and you can't do anything in practice to show you can play because the trench is all about physicality. We can pass that in T-shirts all we want, but until you get ran over, it's, 2 different worlds. And then what happened at the end of camp? They were like, well, he's been a practice squad guy, but he couldn't show us anything because we're only evaluating him in the game. So we'll just put him back on the practice squad. Now, this year, he's been able to go out and be physical in practice and actually in full pads constantly.
Yeah.
And now he's your swing guard, tackle, 7th offensive lineman. He's probably going to make the team.